people want to become entrepreneurs. They want to find ways how to get into trucking. So I think it's going to be a great episode of us really kind of, you know, breaking down in trucking, man. But so thank you for being here, man.
No, thank you for having me. I'm excited. I've been watching Trucking Weekly the last couple of weeks with you. So I think, you know, from what I've seen thus far, you've done a great job. And, you know, from the reactions that we're getting on IG, from the comments and the messages you're receiving, you know, it's just really, I'm glad we're doing this for the community.
Nah, man, I think this is the right time. Like, you know, like I said in one of those posts is that, you know, these truck drivers stood on the front line for us. You know, they make sure that they deliver our essentials. And I think now they're kind of like being taken advantage of. And I think us, the consumers, we have a duty to stand up for them. So I think this is the reason why doing this program, I think, is very important, man. We have to stand up for these truckers. So truckers, if you out here listening, man, we fighting for you, we're rooting for you, and we want to create a better platform, equitable for all of us to win, man. Not just the brokers and the shippers, but at least everyone can be able to take something home.
Exactly. And so as you usually do, you know, Trucking Weekly is it's a weekly show. I know you moved it from what? From Sunday to Thursday?
To Thursdays now, yep.
Right. Okay, so we'll be live every Thursday, basically with you and another guest, right? That's what we're going to be doing?
Yes, every Thursday we'll have a guest. Sometimes we'll have either owner-operator, or we have a shipper, or we have a company manager, you know, industry leaders that can come in and share some valuable insight with these drivers to allow them to make the best decision for their equipment or for their operation.
Right. Awesome. And yeah, so for me, I'll just quickly introduce myself and then we'll get into this. So roles are a little reversed this week. Pierre's not going to be the one interviewing. He's going to be the one actually being interviewed. So I have the pleasure of doing that. My name is Mina Salib. I'm actually the newest employee at Fleeting, which is pretty dope. I have that honor. I'm the head of strategy and operations at the company. You know, I met Pierre a couple months back, right around the summer. Was working with him at my old company, and you know, was kind of just blown away by the vision and the mission of the company, really to create this equitable platform in trucking, which really doesn't exist, right? Like most platforms are very skewed to a shipper. Most platforms are skewed to a motor carrier, or they're just recruitment firms. But I really understood the mission just really because of the conversations we've had, and you're based on your experience and what you've done in the industry. So I was blown away. I ended up quitting my job and I joined Fleeting after I got an offer. So thank you. Thanks again for having me on the team.
No, man, I'm honored, man. Like I said, to have somebody like you, everybody else, this guy right here, he's an executor. Like he execute, man. Like, you know, he comes in, he sees the problem, he gets straight to it. So I think it was one of the best decisions that we've made to have you join the team, you know. So I'm honored to have you on our side, to believe in the mission, man. Really appreciate you.
No, thank you. So with all that, let's just get into the show. The way I've kind of built this out is like, I really just want to get into the nitty gritty. I want to ask you those questions that people are just not asking you, or they're asking you here and there, and they're coming here for those answers. And again, our goal is to create the knowledge, right? To provide our viewers, our listeners with the knowledge and insights that they need to really like revolutionize their career in the trucking industry, whether they're a driver, a motor carrier, shipper. We want to make sure that you are well equipped with where the industry is going, and as well as like what you need to be a part of that future. And that's where all these questions are based around here. So just get ready. You ready?
I'm ready, man.
Okay.
Let's make it happen. I think the people are ready. They want to hear the truth. They want to hear, you know, a little bit more about my story. So let's go.
I think they're ready. So, you know, most people, if they've listened to any of the podcasts that you're on or any of the features, a lot of people know your story. They know you 16 plus years in trucking, basically done everything. But I want to get into something that, you know, something we don't really hear. What would you wish you knew before you got into trucking? So 16 years ago, if somebody could have told you one thing, what's that thing?
Man, if somebody could have told me how challenging it was to fight for a good rate for a shipment, I probably would have had second thoughts. You know, that definitely, like, and how hard it is, like how demanding the work is. Like I said, to be away from your family, like, you know, sometimes even if you're working local, working 16 hours, sometimes 14 hours per day, doing delivery jobs, touch free. I mean, it really takes a toll on your body. Now, definitely, I wouldn't sign up for it, especially at that time.
Yeah. Do you think did the industry get a little easier since then? Are people a little bit more compassionate? Is the work a little different since then, or?
Yeah, to be honest with you, man, I would love to say that it's getting better, and unfortunately, it's not. And that's the reason why we have a shortage of 200,000 drivers, right? Why
Right.
we have a shortage of drivers. No one wants to become a trucker anymore because they know if they become a trucker, they have to give up their way of life. They have to give up their family time. They're not sleeping on their bed. They're gonna eat garbage on the road. So
Right.
why should I be a trucker? So that right here creates a bigger problem in the industry. Like we say, now we have a driver shortage, and let's
Yes.
not even talk about how can that eventually start affecting us, the consumers.
Right. So tell me, like, and I'm guessing, I know the answer, but I'm guessing that's why you started fleeting, right? Like the main mission is this, right? It's to
Yes.
combat this issue.
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly the mission. From when I was a truck myself, being a driver, seeing the importance that the drivers play on the day-to-day economy, right? And not only that, like we really depended on these drivers for everything that we live in.
Yeah.
For me, it was just always like, okay, well, how can this industry treat the drivers so bad? But these drivers are so important, not just to that specific industry, but these
Right.
drivers are very important to our day-to-day lives. So I think that kind of like really touched me in a very, very emotional way. And I felt like, it was my duty to find a way to bring a solution. Like I said, I've seen a lot of other companies bring other values in trucking, but that's one thing I've seen a company take an approach where how do they add value to a truck driver life? How do they help that driver live a healthier lifestyle? Or how do they empower that driver to really appreciate being a trucker? Because early in the 80s, people was proud to be truck drivers. Now you can't even get that anywhere.
Yeah. So as a company, the mission that we have, we want to give drivers back their freedom, their flexibility. That we want to give them, a lifestyle that they're proud of, that they can spend more time with their family and their loved ones. How do we do that? How do we actually create that for them in the long term?
Yes, in long term, yes. They say that's a great question, man. Really, I'm glad that you asked that. In order for us to create that type of system, right, we're gonna need cooperation from the drivers as well. And when we mean cooperation is understanding is what is it that we expect from a driver, right? Because when we giving a customer a promise to say, hey, we can give you a driver that say, hey, look, he's available to work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but he want to be off Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So when we telling the customer that yes, that driver is readily available to take that job, what we want in order for us to be successful at that, I think truckers have to really understand why are we doing this? This is something that we're doing to empower them, to give them their life back. So I think this is where more where we have to separate ourselves from the industry and only hire top drivers that's gonna show up, that's gonna deliver the goods, accident free without damaging the customer's product nor their truck. So I think that's the best way to say that we can build this product by having the top talent drivers truly understand why we're building this and how their role plays a very important part of building this process. So I think the more we can have the cooperation on the driver end and also have that on the trucking companies end, I think it'll make it a lot more easier. Not easier, but I think it'll make it a lot more, a little transparent on both ends for drivers to truly find a way to enjoy trucking.
Right. So what I'm hearing is that, for us to be able to give drivers that flexibility, that way of life that they're seeking, while also being properly compensated, obviously.
Yeah.
They also need to understand that there's something that there's expectations on the other end where
Absolutely.
the shippers they're expecting them to be on time. They're expecting them to be very professional when they're there. They're expecting loads to be delivered, when it's set to be delivered, right? But you're confident that if they're able to give that to the shippers, then the shippers will give that to them.
Absolutely, because that's what the shipper counts on. The shipper counts on accountability, right? On-time delivery and safe delivery for their product. So now if you have a community of truckers that truly understand what that means and truly understand what that also means, not just for the shipper, right, or the consumer, but also what does that mean for his business, right? The more you carry yourself as a professional, the more you carry yourself as a business, the more you understand what it means to show up when you say you're going to show up, the better now you can predict your revenue because now you're in the process of building a great relationship that can guarantee you work. So that's another part that, when we're talking a lot, yes, there is a lot of bad players and the entire transportation, but we do want to kind of address the part that sometimes, where us drivers are dropping the ball and where we can improve on that and make us a better driver to be able to ask for those values back. So I think it starts with us first, us truckers. Let's be the one to create that mindset, that create that way of being treated as professional drivers. And we do that by doing exactly what we're supposed to do.
Right. What's one misconception people have about the trucking industry? It could be the
Man,
general
they have
public.
a whole lot. Yeah, it's a lot of a misconception. Number one, everybody think truck drivers are ex-con, people that came out of jail, that don't have, nothing to do. They usually think those are people that live in the country somewhere, that's, that live in a trailer park, that don't have no life. In reality, I mean, that's a sad truth. That's a false reality. Like, that's not true at all. Truck drivers, like, we have all kinds of walks of life that are truck drivers, especially now. We have more women becoming truck drivers. We have the more younger generation are becoming truckers. Even for me, if you look at it from example, I mean, I'm not pretty much, I wasn't out on my luck when I, became a truck driver. Like I said, although I was trying to escape my hood, my reality at the time, but I dropped out of college to become a truck driver. So I wasn't out on my luck. I wasn't just some thug that didn't have nothing to do that just came out of jail. It was because I was passionate about the industry. I love driving trucks and I love what it did for me. So I believe there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of drivers out there that are drivers because, maybe their grandparents were a driver, their dad were a trucker. So it's like they're seen as like a generation thing. So people really have that misconception is that we're just a bunch of bad people that don't have nothing better to do with our lives to just drive trucks.
Yeah. So oftentimes a lot of times it's a family thing, or it's like you saw the opportunity. In your case, you saw the opportunity, what it can do for your life, and basically both the wealth and the future you can create out of it.
Absolutely. And I think not only that, just seeing that now, being able to do it myself and to say, okay, now I'm in a position to bring that blueprint to truck drivers, bring that blueprint to owner operators, and bring that blueprint to people that want to become entrepreneur in trucking. How do they get a piece of that? So I think this is the perfect experience. A lot of bumps and bruises, but I think now it's to say, hey, look, I'm truly honored to even go through that experience because I see the bigger picture now.
So you managed the fleet. You grew to about like what, $4 or $5 million in revenue. You managed what, over 80 trucks?
Yeah. Not 80 trucks, about 26 trucks, but 80 something drivers. Yes.
Right. So what's the hardest thing about owning truck? Forget like you had 26, right? At some point. What's the hardest thing about owning one?
Oh man, there's so many things, man. There's several things that are hard about owning a truck. So it's like, let's not even start about the insurance cost, right? To own that truck. It's very expensive to own it. And let's not even talk about the cost of not understanding our business where we taking load from shippers. That's very costly as well because we're not really getting what we're supposed to get. And another thing is, how do you keep a driver in that truck, right? A driver is not a robot. You will want your truck to run 365, 24/7, but that driver have holidays. He has family. He want to take days off. So those are like a combination of why it's so hard to own a fleet of truck or to even own one truck.
Right. So let's break it down. You got keeping a driver active in the truck all the time, right? Keeping it on the road, actually taking loads, bringing it from place to place and getting paid for that, right? You got maintenance and insurance. That's a big cost. And then like a big thing that, I know you say like a lot of people don't understand is the unit economics, right?
Yep.
Of actually not only like what are you paying out every month with the insurance costs and the maintenance and all that stuff and repairs, but it's like on a unit economics per trip, per job, right?
Yes.
People just don't get that, right?
Yeah,
If you don't get that, you can't actually optimize owning a truck the way you were doing it, right?
Absolutely. So it's like when you don't understand these numbers, right? What that does is that you just end up taking any numbers that you see on a load board, right? Excuse me. So it's like you own a truck, you go to the load board and you see the load paying $1,600, right? But you're not thinking about, okay, where is that load going for $1,600? Is it going north? Do I have to pay how much money in toll? Is it going west? How many hills that I'm gonna go up west to run that load? How much fuel that I'm gonna burn? So it's like when we don't understand these unit economics and we just see the numbers and we just jump on them, and 30 days later or at the end of the year, we realize, wait, I've been running a truck. Yes, I grossed $100,000, but I only kept 20. Like, what is going on here, right? Yeah. And that's because, once again, we don't understand these things and we just accepting these numbers. So by you understanding exactly, okay, if I'm taking this load between Jersey to Virginia, I need to know exactly how much gallon per mile I'm going to burn, number one. What's going to be the cost in tolls, number two, right? The wear and tear on that truck, right? How much do I have to take away for the insurance on that truck? How much do I have to take away for the truck payment on that truck? And after that, how much am I going to pay the truck for a saving? And how much am I going to pay myself? And we don't understand these numbers. And we just kind of like, these numbers run laps around us. and we just think that we running a trucking company. We excited, yeah, on a truck, but it's pretty much we just spinning our wheels and not getting anywhere.
Yeah, you just freaked me out because you said we would go in on a truck together, and now you're saying there's a lot of costs. So what's the upside here? Like, talk to me on the upside. What, like, if I get this stuff right, am I going to make money or not?
Absolutely. And
Because if not,
again,
I'm not buying a truck with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So guess what? So that's the thing. What we're saying is we understand the trucking industry to a point where the biggest problem is, like, once again, it's not the driver shortage, right? It's driver optimization. Number one, how do you optimize the pool of drivers, right, and give them flexibility that they want? So for us, we understand that's what the drivers want. And also, what does the entrepreneur want? You own a truck. Your ultimate goal for owning that truck is to bring you a return, whether you're a driver or you are part owner of that truck. You want a return. So that means you want constantly good paying loads on that truck to be able to do that. And how do you do that when cost of insurance is high, right? Be able to keep a driver in that truck is high. So what Fleeting did, we kind of like reverse engineered it, right? We went towards kind of creating a driver community first, right? Work with the industry leaders to give the best insurance for these drivers that own their own truck. Work with lending partners to, entrepreneurs that want to own truck to give them the best deal on owning these trucks. And not only that, once they're on that truck, they don't have to go and do no dispatching. They don't have to go and call no brokers. They don't have to do none of that because Fleeting already has a network of truckers that are already there, ready to run their truck 365, 24/7. So for us, it's being able to solve that entire problem through technology. But we understand it first, we had to build the driver community. And how do you build the driver community? Is being able to give to them something that they've been longing, that the industry have been forgotten about them for the longest.
I see. So at the end of the day, if I do get a truck, right, your Fleeting's going to keep it running for me, and it's just passive income, right? I'm not actually driving. I don't got to get my CDL and any of that stuff.
Nah, why should you? And that's the thing, right? We the biggest consumers in this country, right? We consume stuff every day, and trucking is what's bringing everything that we consume. So for us, is how do we create a more equitable platform to where now we open it up for entrepreneurs where they can own partnership in trucking without being a driver and receive that income on the stuff that they're already consuming every day.
That's dope. So if I even expand on that, right? Like, let's say I'm a trucker myself. If I actually became an owner operator where I own my own truck, and then I use like the service, right, for you to kind of like lower the cost on owning another truck, I can run one, and then I can get Fleeting drivers to run the other ones.
Exactly. You got it, man. Look, that's right here is exactly what it is that as we also understand it, right? Currently, right now, truck drivers usually have a ceiling cap, right? Usually they own one truck, and it's very hard for them to grow a fleet, once again, because of cost of insurance and the cost of keeping the drivers. And let's not even talk about regulations. Sometimes it's very hard for these guys to run these operations. So what Fleeting does is we empower that driver. If you own one truck, we eventually want you to own 3 trucks. And how do we help you own that 3 truck is by being part of the Fleeting network. You have access to all of our drivers and our shipper partners to keep that 3 truck working for you. So now as an owner operator, if you want to take a day, if you want to take a week off, guess what? You don't have to take a week off and your truck is sitting down. Fleeting put a driver in your truck for the week. So you fully maximize your truck 365, 24/7. And I think that's the beauty of being a partner with Fleeting.
I feel like this is a huge thing. You just changed the world, and I'm happy to be a part of it. So talk to me about technology, right? What do you think it's done for the industry, right? Like, you got all these digital brokers, you got us, right? Like, what do you think technology's done for the industry? Has it positively affected the industry, negatively affected the industry? What do you think?
Yeah, so that question right here is like I'm in between with that, right? Because yes, I can say there is some positive impact on having technology in the industry, but the question is, who does that impact benefit, right? Does it benefit us, the truck driver, the smaller trucking companies, or does it benefit the shipper and the brokers? So I think that's exactly what we need to look at. Those technologies that are being built, are they being built with the driver in mind? Anyone that's in these tech companies were themselves ever was a driver. You understand? Do they know what that pain is like of being a driver? So yes, so they build these great software that help shippers, that help motor carriers, optimize their asset. It helps shippers save on costs on moving goods, but we're not seeing a technology platform that actually empower that driver to live a healthier life or to help them to become an entrepreneur and own more trucks and make more money in trucking. So for us, yes, that means there's room for disruption, right? There's room for a company like us to come in and say, hey, how do we think about the drivers, which is the greatest asset that we have in trucking? How do we empower these guys to be able to be the best version of themselves? So I think, yes, definitely. So it's a yes and no. With the technology, with the value that they bring, it's just a matter of who does that value benefit.
So outside of us, right, like there's an introduction of like digital brokers. who haven't necessarily changed the model, right? They just like they adapted the model to technology, right? But the model, the economics are still the same, right?
Absolutely. It's all the same. It's just only difference is, yes, they're leveraging the technology to make the decision a lot faster. The driver can book the load, but at the end of the day, on the back end, it's still the same process and they operate the very same way as the traditional brokers.
Mm. Yeah, I can see why we're back and forth on that.
Yeah.
But let's be fair to, I guess, motor carriers, shippers, people like that. What's a misconception drivers have about them?
Yeah, okay, that's a great question, right? Because let's be fully transparent about the entire space. So when we talk about a motor carrier have a lot of challenges as well. So the motor carrier, it could be the guy that owns 3 trucks, or it could be the company that has 10, 15 trucks. And what is the challenge for that company is the hiring cost for a driver for that trucking company is expensive. It costs between $5,000 to $10,000 to hire one driver. And sadly, and I think I said that in one of our podcasts, is that truck drivers really and truly is full-time drivers and part-time applicants, right? Meaning that although they have a full-time job, they're always looking for another opportunity that could either pay more, that either give them better time with their family, or that maybe treat them better. So they're always looking for the next opportunity. So when the trucking companies spend $5,000, $10,000 and hire a driver and technically lose that driver in the next 90 days, that's a huge cost. And guess what? Hundreds of thousands of trucking companies are going through that same problem every day. So they're losing billions of dollars themselves. And also, not only that, they still have to deal with the cost of fuel. They still have to deal with insurance, right? They still have to deal with regulation. And they still have to deal sometimes with taking low margin loads from brokers. So motor carriers themselves have a pain. But there's a big misconception sometimes. Drivers think that, oh, well, this trucking company is making a ton of money. They don't care about me. Yes, sometimes that is the case. But there is time where I could tell you that, the trucking companies themselves are struggling to even keep their operation running because they're only operating on a 5% margin. Yeah. So now it's the same thing for the shipper. The shipper have the same pain point as well, right? The shipper have to worry about their freight being damaged, right? The shipper have to worry about their product not being delivered to their customer on time. The shipper have to worry about production, their production line, making sure things are being being produced and being delivered, and it's not just sitting at their warehouse. So shippers also have their challenges, and they have to find course. They have to find a way to optimize on how they move more freight to save money. So all those parties are being affected currently in trucking industry. But I think for us, our approach is how do we create a system to where we bring a solution that doesn't just, solve it for the broker and the shipper, but that also solve it for the guy, the motor carrier that have the 15 truck that's also helping the shipper. How do we help that shipper now minimize cost, or whether it's damage, whether it's, cost, or spot rate that they're paying brokers to get the shipment delivered. So there's value for everyone in the player to kind of abstract from what we're building here.
What's a secret you have to keep your trucks moving all the time? Like to have drivers consistently outside of fleeting. We know that fleeting is going to be everybody's secret weapon at some point. But but when you were running, your own fleets, how'd you keep drivers in the ecosystem to get more drivers to operate your trucks?
Yeah, I think for me, it was just all attitude, right? Because I know that I was a driver. I know what it was like. Like I said, my divorce was because I was on the road, missing family events, and I seen, certain things. So I know those things, like, being on the road, eating garbage. So when I was dealing with drivers and hiring drivers, it's like kind of like I was able to relate to them on a much more personal level. I know what they was going through. So what I realized is that, truck drivers aren't bad. The thing is, what I was able to get is that if a truck driver can give me 3 days, and that's the best 3 days he gives me, how do I maximize that best 3 days and not kill him because he didn't want to work Thursday and Friday, right? For me, now the question, if that driver's giving me the best Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday out of his life, out of his strength, how do I find another driver to give me the best days on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday? So now I didn't have to abuse one driver to get me the work done for the week. So that was one way I was able to kind of keep our trucks running. And also another way that I was able to do that is I didn't depend solely on brokers to move my truck. And I talk about that all the time. Usually drivers, they have this thing where 95% of their operation depends on brokers. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, 95% of truckers, and I would say 100% of their operation depends on brokers, right? For me, what I did was I understood the importance of having the leverage of building a shipper relationship. But I still did use some brokers, but I used brokers who was much more like, okay, well, 98% of my loads are coming from direct shippers. 2% was coming from brokers just in case if one of my shippers send me in an area where I didn't have no shippers there, I would use a broker to find something to get out of that zone, right?
Yeah.
But that was one way to keep my truck running, not depending on that broker. Because when I ran that operation with the broker and I did the math, it didn't add up at all.
What were we saying the other day? We said like if you're a trucker and you build your business on brokers, you're really just working Uber, right?
That's it. You're an Uber driver pretty much. You're just an Uber driver that say you own a truck, and you just work for a broker.
But if you build it on shippers, you build your own relationships. You're an entrepreneur, right?
Entrepreneur, exactly. So now you don't have to worry about fighting for cheap rates. Now you can say, okay, well, based on me building that relationship with that shipper, and I told that shipper they know I have one truck running that lane all the time. Well, guess what? If that shipper has more loads coming up, who do you think they're gonna give it to? That reliable driver that knew how to build a relationship with them. And guess what? The other secret is, it's not even a secret. That's exactly what the brokers do. The brokers go out there and build a relationship with the shipper, and they use the driver network to get the shipper's business, saying, hey, I have a group of drivers and a group of motor carriers that can move your load. So it's like they use the drivers to get the relationship with the shipper, but once they get into that relationship, they start squeezing the drivers out the middle.
Yeah, well, hopefully that stops, and we're a reason for that. What's your outlook? Let's move into the future. I like always, especially nowadays. Hopefully we get to the future sooner rather than later. What's your outlook for the next 2 years? Obviously, hopefully we're coming out of a pandemic. Obviously, It's around us. We're still dealing with it. But what's the outlook you have for trucking? You find it promising in the next 2 years? We're still going to go through really hard times. Obviously, they're essential workers, so freight's going to be moving no matter what. But what's your outlook?
Man, to be honest with you, man, I'm excited, man, for the next 2 years. Like, really, the opportunities that I see that can be in trucking. Like I said, once again, more truckers, more owner-operators, more entrepreneurs. The amount of freight that we still need to be moved is gonna be crazy. I think that the opportunity is there. It's just it's a matter of, hey, how do we put ourselves in a position to capitalize of the opportunity? So another thing we do have, our goal is pretty much to look at it this way, right? We understand right now we're in a downturn economy, right? Fleeting is not asking what can the economy do for Fleeting, but Fleeting is really asking, well, what can we do for the economy? And how we look at that is, our goal is in 2 years, we want to create at least 5,000 entrepreneurs. That means 5,000 people that own their own truck and receive passive income. By us creating 5,000 entrepreneurs, what does that mean? That means you will need 2 drivers in each truck to fully maximize these trucks, right? Mm-hmm. So that means by creating 5,000 entrepreneurs, we automatically create 10,000 jobs for truck drivers. And when you have 10,000 truck moving every day, you're going to need a call center to kind of help you with the shipper relationship. So that automatically create another 11 jobs. So we saying in the next 2 years, we want to be in a position to create about 11,000 jobs in transportation. And once again, Fleeting model is not what the economy can do for us, but what it is that we can do for the economy. And I think that model is going to put us there.
It sounds like you gave us a lot of work. That's
absolutely. I have to.
I'm down for it.
Hey, listen, I have to at the end of we know what we have to answer to these drivers, right? We have a duty. We have a duty to these shippers. We have a duty to these motor carriers. And I think the fact that we band and put our heads together and, to say, hey, look, let's solve this problem together. I mean, to me, like I said, I'm truly honored. And anyone out there too, man, if you listen, let me put this out there. As I understand, running a $3-5 million company, that's something I can do with my eyes closed without a problem, right? But saying, hey, look, I want to build the next multi-billion virtual trucking company, I'm going to need a community to do that. So I'm welcoming all the industry leaders, all the thought leaders, all the people that knows how to build great community, man. I'm asking you guys, let's join together, let's band, let's create this unity of truckers and motor carriers and create our own supply chain system. So I welcome everyone to join this community to make this thing a reality. We already put a lot of work in. There's a lot of things being done, but I think having more of a community can get this day a lot faster and a lot more leaner.
I'm putting right now, I'm literally putting the link to our community sign up page if people are interested. 1 second. All right, here we are. So I just put it down right there. If you're an active driver, you're an industry leader, whoever you are, you want to sign up for our community. This doesn't mean that you need a job right now, or you could have a job. You could be working for another agency, whatever it is. We wanted you to be a part of our community. So if you want to sign up, it's fleetingpro.com/community. Put your information there, and we'll give you. We can't click the link. Okay, sorry, man.
Yeah, I don't think you can click the link on Instagram. Are you? Maybe try it again.
Yeah, we'll put it in. We'll put it in your bio. I'll put it in my bio. So if anybody wants it, just come to one of our bios after, or just put that in your URL. But good luck, Spinmoti. Thank you. But before we wrap, so I like your vision for the future. I like the outlook. But
before
I
we
guess
go into that, I'm sorry to cut you off, Mina, but
yeah.
before we go into that, let me go into a little bit more about that community.
Yeah, go for it.
Let people know. Yeah, so yeah, guys, we do open up the community now. We welcome people that want to be truck drivers. If you're already an existing driver and you have a job and you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, there's a link for that as well. If you're an investor, entrepreneur that just want to own trucks and kind of like keep feeding drivers in your truck, there's also a click for that. It's called Truck Enthusiast. And also, if you if you a driver that is not working right now and currently looking for a job, and those areas like Jersey, Baltimore, Philly, and you need to work right away, there's also a link for you that you can click on there. So just go ahead, www.freedompro/community, and kind of go. And I'm sorry about for cutting you off, Mina.
Ah, you're good. That's exactly. No, we need to grow this community. We want to encourage people to come through. We're going to put up resources and links. How do you become an owner operator? How do you become, how do you own your own fleet? How do you grow your fleet? How do you deal with all these challenges that Pierre is talking about on live? And then also it's like, we want other community members. We want drivers to actually connect with each other, right? A safe place to connect with each other outside of just, I need a job. Talk to each other. What's happening on the road?
Absolutely. This is not a Facebook. This is not an Instagram. This is much more like our own trucker community where truck drivers can actually connect with each other and really ask questions and really get answered. So like I said, I welcome everyone to be part of this community. Our goal is to have 5,000 entrepreneurs in 2 years. So everyone is welcome. Spread the word and let's make it happen. You froze, Mina?
You're always optimistic, right? But that's why you are who you are. That's why you can take this risk, because you're optimistic, right? You can see a bright future, and thank God for it. But the question is if I'm a truck driver, I'm an owner operator, I'm just thinking about getting into trucking, how do I position myself to take advantage of this, I guess, trucking renaissance in the next 2 years?
Yeah, good question, right? So, I mean, as we understand, the average American don't have a savings, right? So it's very tough, right? To get a truck, it do cost about, $10,000 to $15,000 to get the, down payment. A truck can range between $100,000 and $120,000 brand new, right? And you also have trucks that you can get in the mid $30,000 to $60,000, $70,000. So we understand that's not cheap asset, right? So it's going to require at least minimum of at least $10,000 down payment to get these trucks. So what does that mean for people that actually want to participate now that probably don't even have the whole 10,000, right? Well, we can also allow them to do crowdfunding with their friends, peers to peer, where they can put the money together and get a down payment to own a truck where they can share the passive income monthly. The beauty thing about the passive income to me now, although we're saying in the community, we want to teach them about these things in trucking. As far as on the fleeting platform, once they own that truck, they really don't have to do much anymore. They don't have to make no calls. They don't have to call no brokers. They don't have to go hire no drivers. All they have to do now is when they wake up in the morning is kind of punch in their truck number, see where the truck is at, what commodity is hauling, who's the driver, what is paying, and give them exactly what we talk about, a complete unit economic breakdown of that truck. So I think that's I'm actually excited, man.
I love it. I'm also excited, and that's why I'm on, and that's why I'm here. So I guess just to wrap, I'll ask our audience or viewers or the community here, if anybody has any questions, drop them in the link. We'll stay on for another 2 minutes. Pierre, you have any questions for me? Give me nothing hard. And that's it.
I want to
buy some time until people
answer to the audience, right? And I'm going to ask you this question so that you can maybe answer to the audience.
Okay.
What is it that caught your passion about trucking? Like I said, you've been a guy, you've been in the tech venture space. You work at big tech companies. The entire process of raising venture capital. You're much more like a tech guy than, like a transportation guy. So what is it that make you change from tech, right? Although we're still in tech, but what is it that caught your attention into going into fleeting, coming when you could go to any big tech companies?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think again, man, it's I think we're coming to a time where a lot of us really want to do something impactful. We want to do something that actually touches people's lives. We're not just making rich people richer, you know, like that's not the goal here. The goal is not to make rich people richer. The goal is to really change a lot. Like we have what, like 3.5 million truck drivers in the country, just in the US. And the idea is like, if we can really make a difference in these people's lives, give them back some freedom, give them back some time with their family, give them more money in their pocket, like you're making a substantial difference, right? And like that's honestly, like, if you take away everything, it's that, right? Like, you know, we had a bunch of conversations and I saw your vision and like the opportunity is huge. So this is not like, I'm not this like I'm not a saint, right? Like at the end of the day, you know, I see an opportunity. It's a very big opportunity. We can build a very big company that makes a lot of money. But at the end of the day, we can also change a lot of lives, right, by doing this.
Thank you.
And that's the type of business I want to be in.
Hey, man, guess what? I think this is exactly why we partner together, man, because we're not here just for the money. You understand? We're not saying, hey, look, we're super engineers that can code, that say, hey, look, we're going to disrupt this. I think we're very passionate people. We understand to see how a group of people have been affected, and we want to be able to bring that solution. So thank you, man, for joining this team. Really appreciate you, brother. I love you. I believe in you. Thank you for believing in this mission as well, man. Like I said, I can't thank you enough, man. Thank you.
Thanks, bro. Well, now you guys know why I joined the team, because this dope dude. We did have a question. What are you doing in Detroit? We're not live in Detroit yet, from what I understand, Pierre.
No, we're not.
We're live mainly in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey. We're doing some things in Pennsylvania. Kind of down that coastline. But we will be in Detroit soon enough. If you're willing to do OTR over the road, we could have some potential things for you as well. But obviously, like, sign up, subscribe, like, and you'll be one of the first people to know where we're going next. So
absolutely. Drivers, like I said, one more thing, man. Drivers, just know this community is being built for truckers by a trucker like me. I understand exactly how we all been affected, and I want to create, like I said, a true platform that can provide transparency on all front across trucking. So like I said, tell a trucker, tell another trucker, let's build this community together. We need y'all. This company right here would not exist without truck drivers. This is another thing a lot of trucking companies or shippers don't admit, and we understand. Without truck drivers, we are nothing. So we need you guys to continue building this relationship and build this community, and we need to put our heads together. So thank you for coming together, and we're gonna keep doing this. Stay tuned. Every Thursday, like we said, we're gonna bring some real industry expert. We're gonna bring some shippers. We're gonna bring some real industry leaders in the space for you guys to really get all the knowledge and all the pain points that we've been talking about trucking.
Thanks. And just one last shout. If you have any questions about the community, how you can join Fleeting, whatever, anything, you feel free to DM Pierre, feel free to DM me, and we'll give you the link, a workable link, and we'll get you all the information you need. You can also always shoot us your email. Pierre's just consistently just messaging people back and forth, like people that hit him up, like,
I know.
So this man is consistently working, consistently moving. So I give him a lot of props. And yo, thank you for having me on, bro.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this, man. Like I said, I think we should definitely do this more often. You asked some great questions. I think the audience really left with a lot of value. And let's continue doing this, man. Let's continue adding value into these people's lives. Really appreciate it.
7 o'clock next week, Trucking Weekly, going live. Please join us with Pierre.
Cool. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
Salute. Everyone, peace. You know, we got to go out with some Haitian music, man. It's too late, everybody. I'm leaving now. Leaving out with some Haitian music. Just taking it easy. Est-ce que la vie est une surprise pour moi? En ce moment, je ne peux pas attendre. On ne